And we're back. Technical difficulty there. Those listening on the podcast, you might hear a little blip. Apparently, Mac decided to beach ball out on us. So apparently, Google's not the only one sucking this week. So, kind of our last app thing we have, though, Waze and Spotify have teamed up to integrate so that you can listen to your Spotify while getting your data, your traffic data, and spotting cops.
Isn't it bizarre that they didn't team up for something like play music?
That would have been my preference. Maybe they were worried, I guess, the feds stepping in and trying to push themselves too much, so they teamed out with another entity. And maybe this is just a start, and then eventually it'll be you can pick whatever your music stream is. So, I mean, it's great, especially if you're a Spotify user, chance to not have to keep switching back and forth, which can be dangerous while you're driving, to just have it all up at once and have tracks. And the interesting thing was that they would try to incorporate ways to kind of give you music that fit whatever your current driving conditions were too. So I guess it's like heavy metal rage when it's stopped.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I don't know.
But to me, I guess it's an innovative idea in the sense that people usually when you're driving, you're going to listen to music and you want turn by turn. And if you're using your phone for both, not having to switch between it and use your hands or even trying to do any kind of switching to integrate those two things just makes sense.
You know what would have made better sense to spend their time on? Android Auto and Waze.
Yes. Yes.
Just saying.
There's
probably another team working on that.
And it could be this was just an easy, quick solution, and it was a way to kind of test the waters on it without making it look like they were just trying to take everything. But it'll be interesting. Google, you really need to stop screwing up the good stuff we have and maybe think some more on this Waze thing. Because I definitely agree with Bill. If I have this unlimited music streaming, wouldn't mind being able to use it with Waze.
Yep, definitely.
So kind of moving to our top stories, I guess the big story out there is the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus. I'm sure Tim Cook and them are going to want to sue somebody because, I mean, really, Samsung, did you really have to call your bigger phone the Plus?
Yeah.
At least they used the plus sign.
Yeah. But, you know, I was talking to somebody today who's not really a tech person, and they have the S7. And we were talking about the S8 and how cool it was from a design standpoint and how terrible it would be from a usability perspective. Because the first thing you're going to want to do is put a case on it, and then you've got this weird crevice all the way around the screen where the case meets and doesn't really flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, it's a weird thing with design. Nobody uses a phone without a case on it anymore because they're too fragile.
Especially if this thing costs as much as the S7 Edge does to replace a screen.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking what, $700-800 for the phone. And then you've got to buy a case and do all this stuff. And, I mean, the bezel stuff is a little overblown, I think. Everybody hates bezels. Well, you know, I mean, from a design perspective, they don't look the best, but when I go to grab my phone to take a picture, I sure like having that bottom bezel.
Yeah.
Because then I'm not touching the screen and activating something I don't mean to.
Like the focus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those, it looks great, but you got to question the functionality. The specs on these, pretty good. I mean, the battery, 3,000 and I think 3,500 for the Plus. 3,500.
We got to get out of looking at the size of the battery because there's more to it than that. It's like saying, well, this Prius only has a 10 gallon tank. I mean, yeah, but it gets 40 miles of the gallon because it's so efficient. And so what are they using? 821 Snapdragon or something?
I believe it's
It's probably the 821.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's 821.
Somebody will correct me, I'm sure, if that's not right. But so that's pretty power efficient anyway.
835.
835. Okay. Oh, that's right. They got the new one.
The 10
Everyone
now.
else got stuck with the older one.
Yes.
So that one probably will be a little more power efficient than the last one, and and then we don't know what Android O. Oh wait, it's probably not going to get Android O for a year. What am I saying?
That's what, to me, I was sitting there going, "Ooh, these are such great specs. This would actually not be bad." And then I remembered, yeah, but I want to have updates to my operating system timely.
Yeah, that was somebody, the same guy that I was talking to today was asking me about how I like my Pixel. And I said, I get updates as soon as they're released. I don't have to worry about it. Everything is good about this phone. You know, even the price is decent. And I said, I don't worry anymore. I don't have to get the flavor of the month phone. And so I'm tickled to death with my Pixel. I can't wait for the new one just because I like shiny stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're somebody that likes updates, Samsung doesn't have, well, who does have a great history of doing that? Motorola used to, now they kind of suck too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're kind of, you want to get Apple like updates, you got to get on the Pixel train.
Yeah. And I mean, and the big thing is, it's not just Samsung or anything. It's you add the carrier mix in there, whereas with the Pixel, you don't have that problem.
Yeah. I mean, and even the Pixel gets kind of muddy because Verizon's got their own special version of the software and stuff, but it's really not a material difference as far as the updates go.
Mm-hmm.
And if it really matters to you, just get on the beta program and boom, you're getting them like clockwork, sort of.
I will say one thing that kind of impressed me with the S8 Plus was the fact that they're squeezing in that 6.2 inch in the same size.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I saw an article, I think it was one of the Android blogs, that we need to stop talking about phones in terms of screen size,
mm-hmm.
because it doesn't mean what it used to mean. Because, you know, you can fit, you know, now when you talk about Apple's phone and they've got a 5.5 inch 7 Plus or whatever, that is the same screen, and the body is so much bigger, you know, so it's not really a fair comparison, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at.
Mm-hmm. I mean, although I also have to say, hopefully the processor and stuff help with that 3,500 milliamp cell, because you got a 6.2 inch screen to push now too.
Yeah, and they're using AMOLED, so that's pretty or Super AMOLED, or Super AMOLED Plus, Super Duper AMOLED Plus,
Infinity display.
Yeah. So so that'll help too. You know, it's probably a combination of stuff. I guess time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the fact that they're doing the 4 gigs of RAM, which should be kind of pretty much baseline now, especially with 64-bit processors. The 12 megapixel or 12 megapixel dual pixel rear camera is not bad, especially with f1.7. And then the 8 megapixel front, it's kind of amazing considering you think 8 megapixels was like unheard of not long ago on the back.
Yeah, and I didn't see, do you know, is it a wide angle front camera or wider field of view?
I haven't seen for sure, and sometimes you don't know for sure until it comes out.
I've just found that to be super handy on phones that have it, because then you don't have to have, you know, Inspector Gadget arms to take a selfie or whatever.
Not that any self-respecting person would take selfies.
Well, we take ussies, you know, my family, we all get pictures that way.
So, I mean, it looks spec-wise, I mean, it looks great. It looks like an amazing phone. And I do like the fact that they're putting 64 gigs of storage plus the SD slot. I mean, the micro SD slot. So, but again, it goes back to what we started off with. Do you want updates?
Yeah, and some people don't care. I mean, quite honestly, on a Samsung device, the updates don't really feel like major changes because of the way it's laid out and skinned and changed and all that. For somebody that's used to a you know, a regular Android phone like the Pixel, you can notice all the little nuance changes that they make, and that's important. Some people don't even care, and that's fine. If I'm not knocking the S8 at all. It's just from my perspective, it's probably not a device I'll get. But I can't wait to hear Todd's opinion because I know he's getting one.
I mean, and it's one of those. I'm interested to see how it plays out. The Bixby, the virtual interface stuff, to interact with your phone by your voice, that kind of stuff. I think that's the stuff things should be moving towards. And I will give Samsung a lot of props. I mean, they pushed a lot of the things that everyone else is moving towards. Like they were one of the first big proponents of the multi window. The S Pen, I still think they're the only Android one I know of that has pushed that kind of technology. And so
the big phone,
yeah, with the Note,
yeah, everybody laughed. Remember them all?
The pocket bomb.
Yep.
And I've heard some people say if you were going to go bite for shiny specs and everything, if I was going to bite, I would wait anyway, because I'd rather wait and see what they come out with the Note, because they're going to have to really deck that thing out to make people want to buy one after last year.
And two, I mean, you may hit the Samsung lottery and get one of their exploding Note 8s, and then you're going to be rich too.
Or dead. But,
hey, well, your family will be rich then.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's one of those, I honestly, I've always been more of the Note size of family of phones. Spit it out. More of a fan of that side. So even though this seems shiny, I think I would wait. If I were going to pull a trigger on a Samsung, I'd wait on the Note.
Yeah, I agree. But for some people, they don't need that extra functionality, so they're going to go with the new hotness. And when's that come out anyway?
21st.
21st. So that's a week from tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. And I mean, it's one of those. I mean, I've been seeing all the things Verizon's like, hey, if you trade in a phone and do a 24-month thing, we'll give it to you for like $15 a month. I'm like, would be cheap way to test it, but no.
Yeah. AT&T doesn't want to give me anything.
Poor Bill.
I know. Poor me.
So one of our favorite watches of all time for the Android Wear stuff, the Huawei watch, the original one. So it's come out. It doesn't have NFC, so no Android Pay.
Kind of expected that. I know there was an article from some Australian blog that said, oh, it has it and they're working on they're testing it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, because I know it's already been torn down at XDA, and they said, whatever chipset it has could be configured with NFC, but didn't on that model. And so even though, it had the chip that was capable, it wasn't actually there. I mean, we went through this on a couple of devices in recent memory where they were trying to enable the FM radio on one of the HTC devices. Yep. And there was no antenna, and people were tearing their devices apart trying to, like, it's FM radio. Just go buy a $4 thing,
Just watch YouTube.
Who cares?
But I mean, it's still a great watch. I really liked it. I finally gave mine up. I think it was about 4 months ago. Gave it to my brother-in-law. His had broke, and so I was just wasn't using as much. I was just wearing it, but not really using it. So I decided to give it to someone who would actually put it to use.
Well, that's nice of you. I still wear mine every day, even though right now I'm wearing my Sony watch. This one is like rubber and stuff. I was just working on the cars, and definitely don't want a big metal watch swinging around.
Yeah, and I've actually seen some. What is the brand that came out? They announced it at CES last year. They came out in the fall. Is that they sell it at Best Buy? It's the rubberized one that's supposed to be like super hardcore outdoors Android.
Yeah, Garmin or one of those. It's not Garmin, but
it's like what R or something like that. I mean, those actually look kind of cool, but I'm like, yeah, but they're not mainstream of what kind of app updates and stuff you're going to get. And plus, when I gave it away, the Huawei, I was already kind of waiting to see once 2.0 came out and see what new shiny bling things came out, that I might eventually get one of those anyway.
Yeah, the Misfit Vapor is the next one I think I'm going to grab. It's like $200. It doesn't have NFC, but that doesn't really bother me, but it checks all the other boxes for me. Oh, and by the way, I think it's been since the last podcast. I got my wife one of the LG watches, the new ones.
Uh-huh.
Not the expensive one. Well, it wasn't the Sport, it was the Style. Best Buy had them for, I want to say $179 for even the rose gold one.
That's nice.
And she'd been having some issues with her Moto 360. So, and it was kind of big for her arm anyway. So I got it for her, and she really likes it. Android Wear 2.0 is pretty cool. I haven't gotten to play with it a ton. But interestingly, Miranda is now wearing the Moto 360. It looks redonkulous on her little bitty wrist. She looks like a rapper.
It basically looks like a small guy wearing one of those. What was the dive watch?
Oh yeah,
Invicta.
Yeah, I've got hold on. I got one right here. Oh, where is that? Like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love my Invictas.
I mean, they're nice until you wear them late in the day and your arm's like, I'm tired.
Oh yeah, they were inexpensive enough you could buy one every so often and not feel bad.
That my brother-in-law, he actually had my old 360, and so he sent it to me. He's like, "Is there a way I can fix this?" And I was like, "Well, let's see if you just broke the pin on the strap." No, he broke the part that hold the pin, and I was like, "Yeah, you're just screwed." Here's a Huawei. Because I mean, he works construction, so I figured the Huawei, being all the metal and everything, it'll hold up better for him anyway.
Yeah, and
so he loves it. He uses it for all the stuff, and some of the apps that you can integrate with using it for, like, because I've talked to you in the past. He builds his own drone and everything like that. So he's always looking for cool ways with Android to kind of integrate that stuff. And he had found some stuff he could use with his with the watch.
Cool.
So Google, trying to, I guess, kind of step up its VR game, has brought in one of the big devs for the HTC Vive and the Oculus to kind of help program stuff for its VR stuff.
It's interesting. I mean, I'm not sure where that's going. Do you still use your what
Daydream View?
Yeah, Daydream. I wanted to say Dreamcast, but I knew that wasn't right.
Sega Dreamcast. I haven't used it as much, and part of that is I don't like the aspect that, well, one, I got to take my case off when I want to do it, and two, there's just something about, you want to play it too much, and it starts getting hot, and you're like, that can't be good for my phone in the long term. So I may pick it back up some more once I get whatever our new Pixel 2 is going to be called, because then I can just use the Pixel as all the time just for that. And so at that point, I won't care if it gets hot.
Yeah, I haven't really used mine a whole lot, but I do still use it to watch YouTube when I'm laying in bed because of the reasons I explained before. I can lay in bed and look straight up at the ceiling, and it's comfortable.
Yes. I mean, and if you travel a lot, I can see that being big too. Because if you're sitting on a delay, you happen to be on the United Airlines flight and the guy's getting kicked and screaming off,
you'll never see him coming.
So I mean, it's one of those, it really has its uses, but it'll be really nice if they can step it up. I still say the only way I see this long-term working, unless they can work out some way for your phone to work better, is to work out a way where the headset connects wirelessly to your phone. So it has its own display. It doesn't need your phone to be the display.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be that way they can change the pixel density on the display there, and you're not burning up the battery. Of course, then you bring some cost in, but in order for this to go forward, it's going to have to.
And that way, if it's built in that way, you can actually design it around cooling and everything else, because the display doesn't have to be a small phone stuck in there. It can be a little more spaced out so that you still don't have a lot of weight, but it fits in the whole open space that is kind of taken up right now by just to give you the view distance.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see anything. I think if Google keeps pushing this, it may eventually start pushing Apple too, which then that'll be good for everybody.
Yep.
So YouTube TV has launched in, I think it's 5 cities. Um, Obviously, it doesn't help if you're not in one of the major cities that it's launched in, like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. But I do like the idea. I mean, the more competition that comes out there with DirecTV Now, View, what's the other ones that have come out? Sling, and just the more competition out there, that's the better it is for us as consumers. If you want to have options instead of cable.
Yep.
So I'll let you kick off our other big thing, because I know you know a little more about this than I do, even though I did get to go on the Tech 28 and talk a little bit about it with Android O.
Yeah. So I don't know a ton about it, to be honest, because I haven't had time to really look at it. I know they're changing up some of the ways that the notification stuff works, which will be interesting. And they're changing some of the security. They're disconnecting some of the app permissions. I think one of the things that I'm really excited about is they're actually implementing an API for autofill. So in the past, if you used like a password manager, it had to use the accessibility function in Android, which makes your phone run like crap, uses way more battery. It's a mess. And so with this autofill API, it's a much more fluid experience that doesn't cause all these issues. And I think LastPass and 1Password have already both shown some kind of conceptual stuff on how it'll work. Because right now it's, if you use one of those, it's kind of clunky. You've got to switch to that app, add your copy notifications or copy whatever, and then switch back. And yeah, it makes me not want to do that, but I still do. It's secure.
I mean, and some of the things I talked with Mike and Clay with on Tech 28, the multi screen support, the multi windowed support looks like it's going to be interesting. Kind of bringing that more full focus. The notification controls also, in the fact that you'll have a little more control over your notifications, but also allowing certain apps to have differing so that it's not just notices, but you can have more impactful levels of notifications for interaction for like things like your music and things of that sort, so that you can kind of control which types you want and it lets you have a little more control of that experience, as well as with the lock screen and just giving you more functionality with it. I think those things are going to be interesting, because I mean, the big thing with N was it was really about getting the performance aspects down. I think O is going to, we'll probably see more feature risk. I mean, it's still behind the scenes stuff, but it'll be things that'll be, I think, more impactful on your actual use.
Agreed.
So I guess the big thing will be the wait to see what they call it. We kind of joked, we said we'd like to see Oreo. I mean, they did Kit Kat, so Oreo would seem like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to jump in probably about when they hit beta 3, maybe. I think that's when I jumped in on the last one, and I'll start using it as my daily. Right now, they were pretty explicit not to use it as your daily, because it's.
I mean, I've got my 6P laying around. I thought about maybe seeing if I can get it fired up on there and just mess around with it, because then, it, like you said, it wouldn't have to be a daily.
Yeah, just to play with it.
Mm-hmm. And so I may look into it this weekend if I have some free time. But yeah, I agree with you. Once it gets a little more solidified, definitely worth looking into, just because it's new shiny.
Yep.
So kind of moving into our picks, what you got for us, Bill?
Well, speaking of new shiny, I didn't get anything new, but I finally upgraded my youngest daughter's phone to the Moto G5 Plus. We talked about that one. I can't remember if we talked about it before or not, but it's the latest kind of budget phone from Motorola, and Amazon actually offered it as one of their phones that has Amazon lock screen ads. It was $185 for this phone, and it runs a Snapdragon 625, maybe. Kind of a mid-range processor and stuff, 1080p screen, 5.2-inch screen, I think. but battery life is really good. It's got a nice camera. It's got a fingerprint scanner. I mean, it checks a lot of boxes, and for 185 bucks, I felt really good about getting it for her and not having to worry too much about it.
Yeah, because I mean, especially at that age, that's when going out and doing more things, more chances for it to get lost or broken.
Yeah, so knock on wood, she's been very responsible with her last one, and it helped that it was waterproof, even though she never dropped it in the pool or anything. But she could have.
Well, I mean, it's life gets you.
Yeah. And, I was talking to my wife about it before I got it, and I said, you know, when I was a kid, if I had a phone, I would have had a lot more memories, being able to take pictures and share stuff with people. And I said, so in 20 years, the fact that she had, a bad phone or, crap phone or whatever may not seem like a big deal, but if she's getting better pictures and stuff like that, then she had her other one for a couple of years. It wasn't like, I'm upgrading her like on the cycle I used to be on.
But you and I, we back in the day, it's called shake it like a Polaroid picture, snap, and then you can lose those things, or you get the little disposable cameras, fill them up with pictures, and then never go get them developed.
Yeah, I had a bunch of those. Or you'd forget that you'd already taken it and wind it back, and then you'd have full exposures. And
yeah,
yep, that never happened.
But I mean, those were the good old days, though.
Yeah, but I still wish I had more pictures of family and stuff like that, and being able to at least have that and have some good ones, not some blurry, crappy stuff like my first phones. My first phones didn't even have a camera.
Well, not only that, but now with this day and age, you can take more. They're digital. They don't take up space. You don't have to worry about like all the pictures, like even ones I inherited, like from the 60s and 70s, which I wish I could still have in great shape. Those things, they fade over time. Your negatives went bad, so you couldn't replace them. But digital, as long as you keep a digital backup somewhere, and now with the cloud, they're forever. So, and it's so much easier to take a ton of pictures.
Yeah.
Although, like I told you, I finally got a DSLR just in time for everybody to ditch them.
They still have their place. And when you really want to get a really good shot, I mean, there's no replacement for it right now. But from a convenience perspective, taking, your Pixel or whatever, I took, I don't know, 500 pictures on vacation, and I took my DSLR, but I didn't lug it around everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't, because, the Pixel took great pictures and they were automatically uploaded and all that stuff. I still haven't pulled the other ones off the DSLR.
Well, I mean, I like the fact that with the Pixel too, if I take rapid ones, I can sometimes get an animated picture out of it, which can become even more of a keepsake than just a still shot.
Yep, definitely.
So my pick, it's one I've been having for a while. I actually picked for last month with I can't even think of it. I'm losing my mind. I picked Zelda with Clay and them last time, but the Switch. I mean, I actually was lucky enough. I was smart enough, I guess I could say, to pre-order the Switch, because those things are like selling for ungodly amounts on eBay now because nobody can get them. It's actually really cool. I like the fact that I can be playing it docked on my TV, pick it up, pull the thing out of the dock, keep playing, and go to bed, play, and just sit it down and go to sleep. And the fact that it uses USB-C, all my chargers for my phones work for it. I like the cool way that the controls on the side, you can take them off and use them Wii style. And so you can tell the people who put it together put a lot of thought into it. I mean, the only knock I have on it is that they should have had more games up front. But with Zelda, the new Zelda, it literally is like probably one of the greatest of all time games. The fact that it's not linear like before, it's like, let me see if I can do this. Oh God, I can. Let me just jump over this mountain. Yay. I mean, it's kind of like and what's cool is some of the YouTube videos people have been making with these. It's kind of like the redneck thing of, hey, watch this. And you see these people just like coming up with creative ways to try to break the game and do something that it wasn't meant to do, but because it truly is an open world, you can kind of do.
Nice.
And so I'm actually looking forward. Later this month, I've got it pre-ordered, Mario Kart. So I'll get to finally use the mini controllers where you can use them, each of them as their own controller.
Cool.
So let's let everybody know how you can reach us.
All right. Well, I'm easy to find. I'm at Bill Stebbins on Twitter and BillStebbins.com for everything else.
And I'm on Twitter at LSU Law 2009. And you can find me here. You can find us at the simulcast, which we'll probably be recording maybe next week or the week after. And on so occasionally on the other podcast is on the Tech Side Network. So you can find us by simply searching for Indoor Experience or Tech Side in your podcast client of choice. You can subscribe to our show in Google Play Music or iTunes. Please take the time to leave us a review and comment. Alternatively, we also have a link for our non-Google Play Music and iTunes listeners if you want, right here in our show notes. We also have a Patreon page. It gives our dedicated and loyal listeners the opportunity to support our podcast as well as the other Tech Side podcasts for as little as $1 a month. If you'd like to support us, visit our support page at patreon.com/techside. Leave us a comment on Twitter at AXP Podcast or email the network at axp@techside.net. You can check out our website at techside.net/AXP, and also be sure to check out all our other great podcasts, blogs, photo galleries, and the TechSide store on techside.net. So we thank you all for listening. Goodbye and good night.
See ya.